Hello and welcome to another video update about Bitcoin. Today I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about the fight, the battle between the bulls and the bears around the $100,000 mark, why it is so important, and why specifically the 55-week exponential moving average is so important as key support level in this cycle. But before we dive into that, I wanted to show you here on the relative strength. No, sorry, it's not the relative strength index. It's the stochastic RSI. I wanted to show you here how the stochastic RSI is oversold on the weekly. Now, you might remember that in yesterday's video, I showed you I showed you a possible bearish cross on the monthly MACD, which indicates that the larger degree uptrend is really running out of steam. However, this here is the weekly chart, and this is the stochastic RSI, which is moving much faster than the monthly MACD. So it's important to not get confused by different time frames. What I'm saying is that the monthly MACD that I showed you yesterday with a potential bearish cross indicates that we are indeed in the late stages of this cycle. Most likely the uptrend is running out of steam. It's very much a lagging indicator, however, but it's important to understand this is on the monthly. And this here would suggest a bounce. Not guaranteed, but the previous, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in this cycle, before as well, but basically from when the bull market began, we have at least 6, maybe even 7 times where a stochastic RSI, which was oversold on the weekly time frame, contributed to a nice recovery on the price chart. Now, of course, nothing here is guaranteed at all, and this is just something to look at the moment because we don't have any meaningful low confirmed on this chart. So we have to use price action as well. What I actually want to just show you here is how this larger time frame indicator looks like what it did before, and that it can actually be an interesting one to take into consideration when you wanna look for significant and meaningful lows. So definitely interesting. It doesn't mark the exact low, it's a weekly chart, but it gives you a good idea. And especially the last few times when that happened, and this takes us to our next topic, the 55-week exponential moving average. The last few times, the last 2 to 3 times when that happened actually in this particular bullish cycle, which started in 2022, whenever we had an oversold RSI, stochastic RSI on the weekly, we also had the price touch the 55-week exponential moving average. 3 to 4 times it happened in this cycle. And that's, by the way, that's the white line. So it's important support. We have an indicator that indicates possible upside reversal. And also we have on our 55-week exponential moving average at the moment support. So we're currently holding support on that 55-week EMA, the white line. We've been talking about it basically, for the last 3 months. The reason why I didn't really talk about it before much is we had our Fibonacci boxes, and Fibonacci support and the 55-week EMA, they aligned. Now, this is still the case, but the Fib boxes that we're using on the smaller time frames, they give it much, much, much more room. Basically all the way down to the easily to the 89-week EMA, which is around 88K. But I believe now that we're getting to the late stage of the cycle, maybe we topped already, that 55-week EMA just gains in significance. It's becoming more and more important. So basically, it kind of goes hand in hand with that stochastic RSI on the weekly. Obviously, this 55-week EMA has played a key role in this cycle to keep the momentum up. For the last couple of years, we've been above it. And when we started to break above it, well, that is when we basically got our bull market signal. We've been above this one. The 21-week is in orange. Not so important. Was important for the short-term trend, but not so important for the overall bull market trend because it got crossed several times in this cycle, as you can see. it didn't have a major impact, yeah. But the 55 held. And so we're still holding above the 55. What I find quite impressive is that really here on the 3rd of November, on that, was it the 3rd? No, it was the 4th. Interesting how we're like, I'm now on the daily chart, how we're just touching this 55-week EMA like every single day right now. It's so accurate, right? It's so accurate. Now, I'm not talking about, I don't know, the 50-week EMA or the 50-week SMA. I'm talking here about the 55-week EMA, which just seems to be more accurate. We are holding above it. And so this is quite good. It's quite impressive. And therefore I said, look, it's support, it's key support. It's not only because this is where the 55-week EMA is. 100K level is also psychological support. And so we're holding above that as well, of course. And my view is that this is a bit of a line in the sand. So once we get a decisive break below it, and I mentioned that yesterday as well and the weeks before, I mean, we might just have to kind of focus on lower prices, overall. Of course, as you know, if you follow our More Crypto Online channel with more short-term updates, you guys know that the short-term chart shows us some additional bullish setups as well. They could play out from lower as well. So it's not all lost if we break below the 55-week EMA, but it is an important signal, okay? And definitely would open the door to the next EMA, which is the 89-week EMA. But just a week below isn't gonna confirm a break, right? It needs to be a weekly close. Now, we haven't really had a weekly close here in the last 2 years. So a weekly close, maybe 2, should confirm that we are likely heading down further and that a key level is broken, which could be a first step in confirming a bear market or a larger correction at least. Now, another reason, I mean, if we look at previous cycles, like in 2021, we saw a close below that 55-week EMA, but it wasn't enough to confirm a bear market. So I would say we would probably need at least two closes. Yeah, we would probably need at least 2 closes if we want to be confident that something is shifting, because this year in July 21, back then was only 1 weekly close. So only when we had a couple, early 2022, it became clear that the bear market started. Now, don't get me wrong, at the time, Elliott Wave told us already way earlier. We already had, I think it was around, I don't know, 53K or something. When that was our view, right, at the time. Some of you have been with us already back then, but the view was at around 53K, the bear market has started. And I was super confident about it. One of the reasons why MCO grew in that bear market, whereas most people were still bullish overall, right? So that's just something to keep in mind. I want to see at least 2 weekly closes because of that. And so you can just see that also this 55-week EMA has just been in the last bull market very relevant. And then after the 2017 bull market top, I mean, also here like a weekly close. That didn't, well, we had a weekly close and it was already the bear market, right? But 2 closes confirmed it. But that was already way late, very, very late. I mean, this was a late signal, right? So for me, I just want to say, in this cycle, it would give us quite an early signal. I mean, but I want to see a couple of breaks. Now, the good news is, I mean, the correction, it might not even, normally a bear market is like a year for Bitcoin, right? I mean, maybe we don't get such a long bear market. Yeah, maybe it's not going to be that long. Maybe it's going to be a bit shorter. That is, I can't really predict that, but it depends on how fast this correction plays out, really. Sometimes, if it's an ABC structure, which is what we're tracking, the A wave can be really fast, then we get a B wave bounce and a slow C wave down. Maybe it's going to be faster than a year. We just have to be very open about it. This is a different cycle. Yeah, we're now in a fifth wave, not in a third wave anymore, where the sentiment was very, very euphoric. Here, it kind of topped with disappointment. If the top is already in, as you know, I'm still, let's say, cautiously bullish. But it's just different sentiment. So the bear market might play out differently as well than it did in previous cycles, because previous cycles topped with euphoria. And I'm not saying that we have topped, but if we topped, it was not euphoria. And then the bear market would maybe play out a bit differently. But that should give you a good idea about the 55-week EMA. I hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in additional updates, then also make sure that you follow our other channels, especially the More Crypto Online channel, for more crypto updates. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.